Hey everybody, welcome back to Nerd News Today. I'm Matthew, and today we are once again joining the world of Street Fighter courtesy of JADA Toys. And the fighter that I'm choosing to talk about this time around is in fact a San Diego Comic-Con version of said character. Today we're taking a look at Evil Ryu. Evil Ryu was an exclusive earlier this year at SDCC 2023. It sold out in moments practically. This was one of the fastest selling items I think of the convention this year. So much so that JADA was like, oh, okay, we didn't realize people really wanted these toys that badly. So they actually did a second run like an hour or two later and said, hey, we're gonna make some more because so many people wanted these. So here we go. This is in fact from that second batch. And I should add, by the way, there's no difference between what came out then and what came out like, a few months later. Really, it was just supply and demand, and they needed more time to pump out more of these figures. Now, recently on this channel, we also looked at Ryu. This is the baseline of the figures. This is how the characters are going to normally look. And Ryu is part of this initial launch wave of JADA Street Fighter lineup. And I had a lot of positive things to say about this figure. It's really great. It scratched a lot of itches. And for the price point too, it's practically perfect. Now when we're talking about this SDCC exclusive here, you'll notice that there's one key difference right off the bat, and that is packaging here. The Street Fighter figures that you're normally going to get are going to be this arcade cabinet style, whereas this exclusive, and probably other exclusives that are going to come out in the future, are going to be in this longer style box. And this packaging is still really great. It has the Next Level logo on the top right corner, because that is meant to be their line of exclusive figures. We have a big old logo on top of it as well, with the Evil Ryu name right underneath that, and then this huge pixel picture of Evil Ryu. As a kid, I always loved seeing those great big pixels, and it's so exciting to see them here on this toy. The back of the packaging continues that theme. We have, again, the background for where Evil Ryu would appear, and this is basically his normal Ryu level, but now with a darker looking sinister moon in the background and a really red, bright, orangey, evil looking color. It's meant to be a sunset, but it's still just very, very eerie. And that's followed by a picture of Evil Ryu in his outfit, in his gi, ready for combat, red eyes and everything. This thing looks frightening. And these illustrations especially, I always loved them as a kid, and into an adult, same thing. They're still top tier drawings. Now this Evil Ryu figure is very, very collector friendly, as you're gonna see in a moment here, because basically this is a slip cover that we have on top of this. Once we slide that off, we've got our figure right here exposed, and man, this thing just keeps getting more beautiful. Underneath the cover, you're going to see the many, many accessories this Evil Ryu comes with, as well as the figure, and this is just kind of amazing here. We're going to go into a lot more detail, of course, on all these things as we get deeper into this video here, but you can see off the bat, we have some elements of his backdrop, we have 2 different types of fireballs, we have 3 heads total, 4 hands, a different deco, of course, for Ryu, with a completely different gi outfit, and that base for those special effects. There's a lot here to take in, and this thing just looks so good already. So I am salivating at the mouth right now. I'm foaming to open this Evil Ryu up because, man, among the 3 figures we've seen so far, this 4th here might be the best of the batch, and that's saying a lot. So let's go ahead and get our Evil Ryu out of the packaging and take a closer look at him from all angles. And now, channeling the powers of the Dark Hadu, here is our Evil Ryu, or I should say whatever nonsense it is that Capcom has for the storyline. I don't really know it that well, but yeah, this is our JADA Toys Evil Ryu in the flesh, or should I say in the plastic. And initial thoughts are like, this thing is great. Again, if you've seen my review of normal Ryu, then you're gonna pretty much know what to expect for the most part. There are very few differences here with the figure itself, but there are a few accessories that are gonna set it apart from that original release. But first things first, let's go ahead and talk about this likeness and discuss whether or not this looks like Ryu. And much like the previous release, I'm going to probably say a lot of the same things, but, for my money, I think this is a pretty solid version of Ryu. Now, keeping in mind, this is very much a version that's not based on much of anything. The most you can really say it's based on is his look in Super Street Fighter 2, but again, that was a very pixelated sort of thing, and those sprites were, more or less reused from Street Fighter 2, the original version of that. So there's not like there's really much for them to work with, so they have, in some ways, a fairly blank canvas to play. So I think for what they've done here, though, they've done a great job of capturing the spirit of Ryu, the essence of him and the character. In this case, this is a more evil version, so this is where the paint is going to be a little bit different. And I think we can go ahead and start bringing in maybe our original release of the Ryu figure just to have some comparisons with side by side. But in order to effectively do that, we're going to have to do a few head swaps here, because this Evil Ryu has 3 heads as opposed to the normal release, which only has 2. So like I mentioned, 3 different heads here for Ryu. One of them is new and exclusive, at least for the time being, to this exclusive version of the figure. So we're going to do a few head swaps right now and just show what the differences are while we talk about them. So head sculpt number 1 is going to be the plain stoic head. The stoic head is what is pre-packed in all the normal Ryus. This is one of the ones that you have to basically pop onto his head for, but again, you guys can see it's the same head. The key difference is going to be the paint. We'll spend some more time on the outfit in a little bit. Obviously, that is a different color, but the skin as well is a different color, and that goes into the head sculpts as well. So you guys can see that the hair and the eyes are very, very different on Evil Ryu as opposed to normal Ryu. And the difference being that it's a little bit lighter, because normal Ryu has kind of like almost black hair. It's very, very, very dark brown, but it's pretty close to black. And this one here, it's a little bit of a lighter shade of brown. And he doesn't have the same pupils that normal Ryu has. His eyes are a lot deeper, a lot darker. And the difference being is because he is filled with the power of evil and all that jazz. So it's a really great looking shade of like some deep purples and some reds in there, with white for where his black pupils would normally be. He has the same eyebrows as the other releases as well, and really same features because it is the exact same head. It is just going to be the color that's going to be the differences. So let's go ahead and pop on another head, do one more comparison. And that is going to be with their teeth bared a little bit. So we'll do a little head swap right now. And here we go. Just as easy. These go on, which is one of the coolest things about these figures is the head swaps have been very easy across the board, no matter who we're looking at. It's been pretty easy. So there you go. Now you can see them with the teeth bared. Again, exact same head. Really no differences. It's really just all in the paint. If anything, I think even from behind, it's kind of the same thing, or pretty close, yeah. They both share a similar bandana that is made of a softer material. I think in this case here, maybe it just got kind of like bent in packaging or whatever, but yeah, it's still pretty much the exact same thing, just like a little variation. And that might just be a thing that changes per figure that's made. It's maybe a manufacturing thing. But that's how these guys are gonna look with this head sculpt. Now, the Evil Ryu has one head sculpt that normal Ryu doesn't have, so let's go ahead and show that one off right now too. And this was the head that's already on him, so just so you guys can clearly see that, yes, it is different. Here is the key difference. It's really just the shape of the mouth. This one here is a lot angrier and more ferocious looking. This one here is just plain angry, but same difference across the board. That's how it's going to look, and you guys can see what I mean now about the pupils and all that too, the darker shade, the reds and all that. So it's a nice difference. It definitely does stand out, and he's got a much more menacing appearance than that first release. Now let's spend some time talking about the body a little bit more too. So like I already mentioned, the skin tone is different, the gi color is different, but everything else is the same from that first release. So this has got this much deeper, darker shade of blue. His skin is, you could say, more tan as well. But same body that we got before, and it's a great body. In fact, it's got the same awesome texture, it's got the same black belt, but even then there's actually a few differences there. I mean, I'm looking at this belt right now here, and whereas the other version of Ryu, I'll slide Evil Ryu down for a second here just to put them both on camera, you guys can see that the black belt is actually a little bit sharper looking, I guess you could say, on the normal release, because his letters here are much brighter yellow. Here it's a little bit more subdued. Even the shade of black, it's more almost faded as opposed to the more bold black used on this white gi version here. But otherwise, and besides that, too, the gloves being a different color as well. But besides that, it's still really the same exact mold, so everything has more or less stayed the same since then. And that includes this sort of rough, weathered texture that's on the gi. It's not just like a flat single tone of fabric here, essentially. This actually does have a little bit of texture to it, which is shared on the pants as well, and also a little bit on the gloves. And I was really keen on this when we reviewed the other Ryu figure, just because I really thought the texture just offered so much to it. And not just that, but the way the fabric is pulled on it, and you could see it like across the shoulders, especially here in the back where the belt is kind of like pulling on the uniform a little bit. It really helps it look a lot more realistic in some ways, which is very welcome here. So, yeah, I think it looks great. I love the collar, too. All around, the outfit just looks wonderful from top to bottom, and can't beat that at all. So let's spend some time talking about articulation. And again, this is going to be the same articulation as the other figures, but I was able to actually push things a little bit further since that video I did about Ryu. So let's talk about that here. And we'll begin just by covering the head articulation, and these figures have great head articulation. They can move left and right. It's ball jointed. They've got a wonderful wobble to them. It looks wonderful, yeah. Ball jointed shoulders as well. And in addition to the ball jointed shoulders, they also have a butterfly joint so that they could actually cross their arms or spread their arms out even further. So right now it's a little bit stiff straight out of the box, but there we go. We'll give it a nice little knock, and there you go. It's almost like he's doing a double clothesline, like Zangief style, Red Cyclone. So yeah, just wonderful articulation, and let's go ahead and show you off how the biceps work as well, because those are double jointed. Check that out. There's some great posing right there. Evil Ryu, he loves to really work his pecs and his buys, so there he is. He's all swole right now. And it's those double joints that allow him to get his arms in this better position too. You can see, you can really just like get him completely up there, protect his face when he's in a fight a little bit better. There you guys go. I mean, that's probably a little bit overkill, but yeah. The fact is you can do that, and that comes in handy for getting some real good posing. And likewise too, even just for throwing punches and stuff. I mean, yeah, this just looks really great the way it is. Lots of versatility for posing. Check that out. That just looks really sharp, doesn't it? Now, there is wrist movement as well, but these gloves kind of hinder that a little bit, I noticed. So if you really want to like get them into a different position, I actually recommend you take the fists out and then you kind of flex them, because that's how they move. They can rotate and flex, but sometimes it is a little tricky to get them into a position that like really works. So yeah, sometimes you just got to pull the arm out, and that's the way to go. Now, the chest and the waist were things I had issues with in the last videos, and really with all. Now, the chest and the waist were something I had problems with in the other videos of the other figures, and I think I may have figured out a solution, which is really just being a little bit less afraid of cracking some plastic. So the uniform here, by the way, in case you're wondering, it is not part of the torso. It is a separate piece of softer plastic, and that means it's going to hinder mobility on this figure. So the chest, it still doesn't move a ton, but the waist, it does move. You just got to be a little careful with it, and eventually you can get it to turn. So I couldn't do this before with the other figures. Now I feel more confident to give it a try. But that's going to be important because we'll come back to that later on. Now, in addition to that, we have a nice T-hinge crotch, which allows for great flexibility in his legs. We got Ryu doing a full split here. And that also translates to getting some awesome kicks. We'll come back to that in a second. But also have a thigh joint, which allows you to rotate those legs in, and double jointed knees to get some more dynamic kicking ability, as well as ankle rotation and flexing. So very, very excellent articulation on these figures. So just how flexible is he? Well, check out this side kick that you can get your Evil Ryu to do. That's a pretty darn solid side kick as far as I'm concerned. Great extension on that. That looks really solid here. Now, I'm going to show you guys a little thing that I've discussed in my other videos as well, because getting him to stand up and hold this pose like this, it's not going to happen. But luckily, we have found a base to kind of help resolve that problem a little bit. And that comes in the form of this right here. This is from ringsidecollectibles.com, and it's a base for WWE wrestling figures from Mattel. If you're wondering, there's a little peg here, and these figures do have a peg hole in the bottom of their feet. And turns out that it's actually a perfect fit for these. So all you gotta do is slide him in there, and he's good to go. He's standing up nice and perfectly. And not only that, but these bases are strong enough to very much hold him in this position. So there we go. Look at that nice looking side kick. That looks great. Now, the one thing this figure cannot do, unfortunately, is the signature Ryu axe kick, or at least not that easily. This one looks to be like a little bit better, I guess. We got a little more flexibility here, but that's really about as high as you're going to get with the axe kick. You're not going to be able to really get it, like, I don't think, to do a full, yeah, I'm not going to be able to really get it any higher than that, but it's still actually a pretty solid high front kick. That's not bad. It's closer to an axe kick than I got the other Ryu. So it might just mean that this figure has some better joint manipulation than the other one had. But what I couldn't do last time was a good high roundhouse, and that's what I want to try and do here. So we're going to turn his thigh a little bit and turn his waist so we can get some good roundhouse action, and there we go. Yeah, that looks good. Like, I was unable to do that with the other Ryu figure, and I'll just bring him over here too, just so we got a sparring partner for him to work with. There we go. But yeah, check it out. That's actually, that foot is up there, so he's got almost a head kick right there against normal Ryu. So that's pretty solid. That's actually really great articulation, and great flexibility too. I don't really need to show off the arms as much because, you already saw these arms are pretty darn flexible. It's the kicks that matter most to me, just because of how this fabric was going to be resistant to moving them around. But it didn't take much more effort, and I really only put in like 5 seconds more blow dryer time than I did in the other video. So yeah, just basically hit your figures with a blow dryer, loosen all the joints, and then they are good to go. Now let's start talking about accessories here. And we already mentioned that he has 2 additional head sculpts for a total of 3 heads, which is 1 more than normal. But we also have an additional pair of hands. These are meant for him to do his fireball, his Hadouken hands. They're very easy to swap out. And again, this is a re-release of the hands we got previously, so I'll just do that right now because that's going to lead into our next accessory, because you guessed it, Ryu has got fireball, but not just 1 fireball. Oh no, he's got 2. As well as, believe it or not, a few other accessories. So hands go in, snap into place, very easy. And thanks to that really good articulation, he actually can get himself into like a charge-up pose. with a little bit of effort. Not too much, but yeah, you guys can eventually actually have him doing the pose. In fact, since I got this guy turning his waist more, I can actually get this looking even a little bit more accurate than previous. But yeah, I mean, how great does that look right now? Off the bat, how good does that look? Now there's one other accessory that's not really an accessory, but I'm going to count it as one, and that's this. This is actually part of Ryu's packaging, but I've been talking about this in all my other videos, and I think this is so cool. So all the figures have come with a backdrop behind the figures in their packaging, and I think it's great to use for displaying your figure in. And this one in particular is double the size of the other ones, because normally it's about half this length because it's only meant to fit like one figure, but because Evil Ryu had so many more accessories, they really packed them up into a bigger packaging, and as a result of that, we get this backdrop for his stage looking even sharper than before. So I think for the rest of the video, I'm going to try and see if we can actually do everything in this little backdrop section here. But I mean, just to give you guys an idea of how this looks, I mean, now I feel like we're really talking, like now this adds just so much more personality. So this is why I think you've got to really do it like this, because this is the best way to display your figures. So as I mentioned, Ryu comes with a fireball, but not just one, he comes with 2 fireballs because this is Evil Ryu. So that means we have evil fireballs. We have a purple and a sort of yellow orangey one, which are both made of some transparent plastic. Beautiful color on these guys here and great sculpting. This red one here, that's like the fire one that's going to set your enemies aflame. So it's a little bit longer in a different shape. Whereas this purple one here, this is the same fireball we got previously with Ryu. The difference is, actually no, I'm wrong about that. It looks like this purple one's actually longer. Huh, all right, so it's actually a completely new fireball. And the other difference here is the blue one that came with the first release of Ryu has some hands hiding in there, whereas this purple one does not. Now, you already saw me holding up that blue one, which had a base. We also get another base here. It's a 2-part base with an arm that has some articulation on it in 2 different places. And it's got a hole in the fireball, and that's how you're going to attach your fireball. And boom, there you go. You got a purple fireball ready for action. Now, since it only comes with 1, we're just going to only focus on the 1 today. But I do want to show you guys the other one as well, just to show you that it does, in fact, fit there. And there we go. So I think I'm going to stick with the purple just because it's going to pop a little more in this backdrop. And let's have our Ryu do a fireball throw right now for you guys and show you how that looks. And also show you that, yes, you can actually get him in that fireball pose. And we can do that without this base. Now, I will admit I have to do this a little bit off camera because it's just harder to do it when you're trying to show it off in front of a camera. But more or less, you can go ahead and get yourself doing a nice looking fireball right there. Like, how good does that look? Now we're really talking about some great posing. And again, this is why you want to keep that backdrop, because you can't do this without it. So yeah, that's a pretty great bonus. You know, instead of having to like get one made up for you or wherever you might go to like Staples and print one on a heavier stock of paper, you could do that. But JADA's already given it to you. So why spend the extra money on it when it's already right in front of you? But believe it or not, there actually are 2 more accessories, and these are level specific. And you guys already see them in this backdrop behind us, in fact. So I'm going to go ahead and plop them right in. We have these things. I don't remember what the actual name of them is, or what the actual name of them are. Grammar is a thing that exists. But yeah, those big boards in the background, yeah, they are here as part of this set. Really cool accessory that is exclusive again only to this. And not only that, you get one here that actually is breakaway. This one currently is being held together by a piece of tape because that's how it's sold, but it actually does break apart into 4 pieces, and then you can just go ahead and assemble it right back in. I'm going to leave the tape on just to make my life easier and to keep it in there, but yeah, if you wanted to have some real cool like posing going on, some figure photography where you're having it be broken by another figure going through it, you absolutely can do that, and that's thanks to just how much effort JADA has put to giving us great authentic looking figures with a little bit of fan service on the side. And one more time, just tell me how good this all looks now together, especially when you have that backdrop there. Come on, you're kidding me. All right, so let's do a few figure comparisons too. And again, we've already done this before in other videos, so I can kind of breeze through this a little bit here. But I'm going to bring in a WWE Mattel Elite figure. I mean, why not? We've been using their bases, right? Might as well. I'm also going to bring in a G.I. Joe classified figure. These guys are all on the same scale. I'm not someone who's going to be picky about exact heights of this or that or whatever, but at least you can see as far as 6-inch figures go, it works really nicely. No issues there. Let's also, let's keep this party going. I'm going to bring in a NECA Rocky figure right there, and he's still more or less in that 1/12 scale. I think I might have said 1/6 by accident, but you guys know what I meant. And I'm also going to bring in somebody a little bit bigger, and that's going to be a John Wick figure from Diamond Select. I'm going to move out back down a little bit closer there so we get everybody in frame, hopefully. So 1/10 scale figures like that John Wick from Diamond Select and other bigger companies, not going to really fit. But if you're talking guys in the 6-inch scale, I think you're not going to have too many problems. I mean, keep in mind, Jericho is pretty tall. That's also probably accurate as far as size goes. But yeah, talking 1/12 scale figures, you're not going to really run into any issues here. I think it looks pretty good as it is. And more importantly, it does look really great too with other Street Fighter figures. And if you don't believe me, well, let me prove it to you right now. Let's go ahead and bring in the very first JADA figure that we reviewed on this channel, and the first one to get released, and that would be Fei Long. And let's bring in the strongest woman warrior out there, according to Street Fighter 2. How about our Chun-Li figure? So that's how everybody's going to stack up size-wise, although admittedly you can see that I've got Ryu a little bit closer in the foreground here, but still everybody sizes up pretty much the way I think that they should. I know there's like some hardcore Street Fighter people out there who can really tell me if they're truly in the correct scale or not, but for my money, I'm very happy with how they look together. That's kind of what matters most to me, and the fact is, like, this line's going to keep expanding. They're going to keep adding more people. I want to have a diversity of heights. I don't want everybody to be, you know, boom, 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 same thing, sharing the same kind of vertical headline here. So I am looking forward to seeing what else JADA's going to do and how this line's going to really flesh out when we get some more warriors on the stage. And speaking of, we do know that a few more are on the way. Ken is coming, DJ is coming, I believe Cammy is coming, and I was told during Toy Fair that they will start working on doing some of the larger scale figures like Zangief, like Sagat. So we will see how that all comes together, but JADA at the very least is committed to making this thing go the distance. So that is our look at the JADA Toys Evil Ryu convention exclusive figure. I mean, really, you gotta have both Ryus, I think. It's not one or the other. It's cool that this one exists. He's gonna be probably a little bit harder to find nowadays. It's a great variant just because of all the extra fireballs it has, the breakaway parts of its backdrop. It's really good. It's not just a redeco. I mean, it is, but there's a lot more to it. That said, he might be a little bit harder to find now, so in that case, yeah, definitely go ahead and scoop up the Ryu while you can, and keep your eye on this series, because this is going to be like one of the hottest toy lines, I think, moving into 2024, especially for adult collectors. 2023 has been, I call it like a soft launch, but next year, 2024, I think that's when things are going to really pick up for this line. Now, if you want to pick up this Evil Ryu or any of the other Street Fighter figures from JADA Toys looked at today in this video, go ahead and check out some of my affiliate links in the description below. If you click on any of those links, it helps support this YouTube channel at no extra cost to you. So until next time, I'm Matthew. This has been Nerd News Today. That's our look at JADA Toys Evil Ryu. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time when we take a look at a new challenger.